Something that everyone loves to discuss and has all the opinions on, and you're going to hear our opinions on it today, are the gaps in the NDIS. And we don't mean funding gaps. We don't mean, systemic issues. We mean why won't the NDIS fund it and should they fund it, and our opinions on if they should or not. So might get a little bit spicy up in here, guys, but we're going to have a bit of fun with this one.
I can't with you. Okay. It might get a little spicy.
Because it might.
Okay.
Do I start that again?
No, it's fine. Roll with it.
Okay. Oh God. So we're going to discuss our fixations first, as usual, and then we're going to get into it. So Lisa, you go first.
I don't know what my fixation is.
I'll go first.
Fixation of the week. Fixation of the week. Fixation of the week.
So I think my fixation, it's one that's been reoccurring. It started off as everyone knows that I have had an obsession and fixation with the story of Natalia Grace.
Yes.
Don't roll your eyes.
This was a big fixation. And then I remember I watched the little show miniseries thing and my husband was traumatized and was having nightmares about Natalia Grace. He's got you to thank for that.
Well, that's the thing is I realized I've never actually talked about Good American Family on the pod because this fixation happened within the last 12 months.
Oh my God, I forgot that people don't know that you had this total fixation.
Because my fixation on Natalia Grace was a thing.
Yeah.
And then Good American Family came out. And I haven't spoken about it since. But what has kind of reignited it now is that she's come out on a podcast basically slamming the show and being like, it still didn't portray anything, like it didn't, blah, blah, blah. But I think
I thought they did a pretty good job.
I did too.
I changed my view.
Same.
I was like, she was a child.
I think she's pissed off because she didn't have anything to do with it.
She didn't get money?
I don't think so. I don't think she got money. She didn't have anything to do with it.
Or have any input or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And she kept saying, like, the person who portrayed her, like the actress, she did a great job at what she was given to do. But she didn't portray the situation well and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't written right. I think it was a good show.
So do I.
And I think it really actually changed a lot of people's mindsets on her and really showed the truth of what happened with the family. And obviously you'll never know the truth. There's always three sides to every story and only the people in the situation can tell what happened. I really liked it. I love Ellen Pompeo. I think she's a great actress.
She is a great actress, yeah.
She played that part so well. Just stunning performance. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed the show. And it was one show that I was a little bit pissed off because it was like week by week the episodes would come out, but it was a show that I would watch it when it came out on the Friday night.
Yeah, okay.
Because I loved it so much. So, and I think it's because I was so invested in Natalia Grace, and that was a fixation for a while, just how crazy her story is.
Yeah.
But yeah, Good American Family was a massive fixation of mine.
Yeah.
And now I'm back on the Natalia Grace bandwagon. But it's more now because I want to figure out like why she's still not happy with her story being portrayed and like how it's being portrayed, sorry. Like why is she still not happy?
Yeah.
What is it? And yeah, that seems to be more and more things come out every time she speaks about it of what happened.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily told before or wasn't in the show because no one knew about it. So, and just it's really interesting trying to see all of the intricate details of it. And yeah, so I'm back on that. It's really, really interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved the show. I thought it was I binged it. I didn't watch it week by week. I binged it. And I thought it was great. Like I said, changed my whole perspective on the story.
Yeah.
I fully think that she was a kid based off that show. I fully believe that she was a kid. And yeah, it was a whole weird dynamic.
It kind of
It was weird.
the way the
Weird
show
story.
was set up kind of gave me like Baby Reindeer vibes. Like it was
Yeah. Yes.
a similar kind of
Yeah, I get what you're
vibe.
saying. Like,
There was evidence and receipts that they used to like, you know, show what happened.
yeah.
But again, it was like it was a show, it wasn't a documentary.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a whole thing at the moment. And Natalia Grace has had a whole makeover. She's got like different hair now. She's got tattoos everywhere. Like she's really just changed her look.
Yeah. Good for her.
Yeah.
Happy for you, Natalia Grace.
Yeah. Really interested in Natalia Grace and her story.
Yeah.
Because I was a believer for a while there that she was a con woman. I
fully believed she was
fully
a con
believed it.
woman.
I did. And then seeing Good American Family has really changed my perspective.
Yeah.
It really has.
Yeah. Especially the whole thing with the doctor, that particular doctor that the mum went to.
Yeah.
Seemed like he forged things
So many different layers.
to like just to make the mum happy.
And then all those stories about like, you know, why did she have her period so young? And like, why was this happening? Why was that happening? But like in the show, and again, I don't know if it's true or not,
Yeah.
but you see why those things came
That's
up and how
right.
the mum then changed that to suit her story.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really good show. I would recommend it for anyone.
Yeah. Wild.
Just maybe not your husband.
No. Wild show. I think that, like, let's be real, I can't really think of a fixation at the moment because I'm still fixated on supercars and everything like that. But I will say that one thing I didn't get to speak about on the pod last year, which I really wish I did, was the Stranger Things finale.
Oh my goodness.
Because boy, oh boy, was that a fixation for me. I went into the level of Game of Thrones fixation where I started, and you know what? I should just write movies because my ending of the shows, Game of Thrones and Stranger Things, would have been 100 times better
than the original, than
what came out.
Yeah.
Okay. I was in deep on TikTok. I went in deep on every single theory that you could think of with Stranger Things, every single one. And I was like, this is going to happen and this is going to, I fully wrote the show in my head.
Yeah.
So when then the actual show, the finale came out.
Which, very disappointing, can I say?
I mean, we were hungover from New Year's at my house.
We were, and we literally
watched it.
And we both just looked at each other like, what
happened?
Just happened.
It was gearing up to be something really special. There was a few little things that was like, wow, okay, this is happening. And then it felt like it just fell really flat. And I know that there was some people that thought that it was a perfect ending because it was a happy ending. But it's Stranger Things. We don't need a happy ending.
No, and I have to say, if you haven't watched the finale yet, I don't care because it was released a long time ago.
Whatever,
Spoiler alert. How can you go for that many seasons trying to kill Vecna to do it in the first, 20 minutes?
So quick.
And then, it felt like forever that they were trying to tell this story of where they all ended up and blah, blah. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. And I don't want a happy ending.
No.
I haven't watched Stranger Things this whole time to get a happy ending.
I wanted to be in
nothing
tears.
Happy about it. Yes. I wanted to be in tears. I wanted, so you know how they did the thing where Will Byers obviously has powers?
Yes.
When that happened, I screamed like a proud mother, okay, for Will.
Yes, Willie.
I was like, yes, I'm so proud of you. Yes, you believe in yourself. Like I was screaming, I was clapping, I was singing. The finale I'm like this. Like, what? I should not be like that. I should be screaming at the TV like, yes.
Yeah.
I wanted Will to turn into Vecna or something. Something happen. Blow my mind. Make me think that, oh my God, everything that I've watched has now turned on its head and I don't know what's right and wrong and I don't know. No, like there was none of that. So I was so disappointed. So disappointed.
I think the only oh my gosh moment we had was when Steve nearly died.
Yeah. And
then
they
he
knew they
did it.
couldn't kill Steve.
Like, obviously.
Yeah.
But that was the only like, oh my gosh moment. Other than that, it was kind of like, oh,
I
okay.
wish they killed Jonathan.
Oh, same.
They could have just killed him off. It's a pain in the ass. Even Nancy, I liked her and then she just annoyed me too.
Yeah.
I was like, they could have died in that drip scene. I wouldn't have cared. But I was so disappointed. And then the funny thing is that there was so much disappointment over that final episode that people then thought that there was a secret episode coming out.
Yeah.
That was going to be all about, it was going to be the real ending. And it just never eventuated. Like it was nothing. But that's how much fans hated it, that they were secretly praying for another episode.
People were like grasping at just needing something better. And I just remember like that whole couple of months after where people were like, maybe, you know, all these conspiracies about like maybe this and maybe the whole show was actually that like Will was never found and this is just Mike's way of, you know, dealing
people
with
read
his
into it way too
therapy
much
and stuff. And I was like, you guys obviously need something better because you can't get over the fact that that was the ending.
That was the ending.
Yeah.
So there's that. That was Stranger Things, a major disappointment.
Yeah.
But that was a major fixation for me that I really wanted to discuss on the pod and with our viewers, but obviously couldn't.
TikTok did not help at all. Like it kind of just like kept it going as well and kept us in that fixation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
All right, should we jump into it? Today we are discussing gaps in the NDIS, what they should fund that they currently don't.
Or is it okay that they don't fund it? That's the question. So we have a couple of topics and all of these are from the NDIS released list.
No.
So fund.
No.
So this is the list that everyone knows about or they should know about. The list that the NDIS released last year.
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah.
Where they specifically noted what they will not fund. Which it was a new thing to the NDIS, caused chaos, but now everyone's kind of over it and they're just dealing with it.
Yes.
But we would like to hear each other's opinions on what we think. So the first one we have, and this one has been a hot topic for a very long time, as long as I've worked in the space, psychiatry. Psychiatry has been the topic for a very long time, and I think that a lot of people disagree with the fact that the NDIS won't fund it. I am one of those people. So that's something that we agree on. Basically, the NDIS feel that they do not do treatment. And that's something they've stood by the whole time. They do not treat people. They help people manage the implications of their disabilities and overcome barriers to their disabilities. They see psychiatry as a health problem and something that health should fund because it's technically treatment. Now, there's a lot of people in the NDIS with psychosocial disability. Psychiatry, that shit ain't treat. What the just came out of my mouth?
That shit a treat. It's a treat.
That shit ain't cheap.
Amen, sister.
Psychiatry can cost up to $800 for a single visit.
Yeah.
Do you think that people on the DSP who have psychosocial disability are going to be able to see their psychiatrist as regularly as they need and just give them $800 a pop, considering there's also no bulk billed psychiatrist basically at the moment either, to manage their mental health? The answer is no. They cannot.
Mm.
And the matter of the fact is that if people had this access to updating their meds and getting psychiatry support, potentially they may not need as much NDIS support. And I'm just saying potentially, because we don't know, because it's not a thing. They might not need as much NDIS support because they're being medicated properly.
Mm.
Like,
But I also think, so obviously as a behaviour support practitioner, we need to look at restrictive practices, and chemical restraint is one of them, right? Where a participant might be on medication. Now, the gold standard that the NDIS stands by this is that a participant sees a psychiatrist to then say, yes, you are on the right medication. This is the medication. This is the right dosage for you. This is, yes, we agree with this.
And a lot of the time too, the NDIS needs a psychiatrist to diagnose a participant to get onto the NDIS.
Yeah.
And without that, a lot of the time you can't get onto the NDIS.
Yes. So, for example, for me working with RPs, if I see a participant that is on a long list of medications, which I've seen time and time again, and this will often be, prescription medication prescribed by a GP, okay, and I might have a look at that and I might go, gosh, that's a lot of medication. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think that maybe this participant could possibly fade out some of these medications, or, there's not been an improvement in behaviour whatsoever. The gold standard, again, would be to get a medication review by a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Okay. More often than not, that doesn't happen because the participant can't get access to a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
The wait lists for public psychiatrists is, I don't even know what the wait lists for that is. It's insane. It's not even
8 months to a
feasible.
year.
Yeah, it's not even feasible because by the time the person goes to see a psychiatrist, there's so many things that have happened in that time. So, yeah, I think that it's a little bit silly that it's considered the gold standard within the NDIS, especially for chemical RPs, but then NDIS participants don't actually get funded for it.
Yeah.
I think that's silly. I think that they should fund it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Next one is dental work or just dental care in general.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a big one that I think actually doesn't get spoken about enough. I think that psychiatry gets spoken about a lot and, just general health care gets spoken about a lot, but dental does not get spoken about a lot. What are your thoughts?
I think that they should fund it only because when we look at other countries and how they work with people with additional needs and dental work, they actually have systems in place to support them, okay? And that looks like specialist clinics for participants with additional needs that accommodates to those needs.
Yeah.
It might be longer appointment times. It might be that they have specific training for people with additional needs. It might be, really sensory pleasing for participants. Basically, it's a place that participants know that they can go and they're going to feel comfortable because they're going to have their needs met.
Yeah.
That's not something that we see in everyday dental clinics because they can't accommodate. There's too much to it. And from a business point of view, it doesn't sort of make sense for dentists to make all of these accommodations when, they're trying to run a business. They could be getting lots of people in the chair as opposed to, one person taking up a certain amount of time in the chair because for several reasons, right? Because of their disability. So I think that it should be funded, but I also think that there should be more training for dentists in how they can accommodate and what they can do. And I think that there should be these specialised clinics as well. And perhaps if these specialised clinics opened, that is what could be funded for the participant. So a bit like how participants now will get funded for, say, social activities, but they have to
Yeah.
be, disability approved. I feel like that's what that would look like. So you would have these clinics and participants would have to go to those specific clinics to then have it taken from their NDIS funding.
Yeah. So do you think that these programs and clinics should be set up by health and then you can access them with your NDIS funding, or do you think it should be NDIS specific?
Mm. Well, I don't think the clinics could be NDIS specific. I think that health needs to stand up. Again, this is like health and NDIS meeting in the middle to come to a compromise, right? I think that's what needs to happen. But I don't see that happening because I don't see health and NDIS ever meeting and collaborating with each other.
I also agree on that.
Yeah.
I think too that, there's an idea that you and I need dental work and, we need to go to a dentist. So it's a everyday need. So
Yeah.
people with disabilities should have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in a lot of instances, participants with lower capacity or haven't been taught dental hygiene or the importance of it, or don't have the capacity to really understand the consequences of it, they're the ones that are falling through the cracks because they don't have the ability to go to a dentist regularly financially because it costs a lot. But also like they don't understand it. So they're the ones that have more risk to having issues down the track. And that's where you find that it gets to a point where it's an emergency situation and then they have to be utilizing the emergency dental vouchers and things like that, when if there was early intervention or if there was more accessibility for them, then they wouldn't have to be relying on that emergency system as much either.
Yeah. And I think that it's funny because, we spoke a little bit about like health and NDIS not wanting to work together. But the funny part of that is that as behavior support practitioners, one of the first things we do is look at their health overall. And we need to make sure that they're up to date with dental checks, medical checks. And the reason for that being is if you have someone that is nonverbal and doesn't have any functional communication, they might not be able to indicate pain to you. Okay. So by having someone, you could have somebody that throws punches in the wall. They could have a really bad toothache.
Yeah.
So, or they could have, something wrong with their knee that needs an x-ray. So we're supposed to, again, look at health and health's role in why this participant might be engaging in these behaviours. But again, it's something that NDIS have gone, oh, that's health.
And I think it's, the fact that, again, if you or I needed to go to the dentist, that's the root of the issue. If we have to go to the doctor and get a x-ray, like everyone has to do these things, and it's not the actual fact that they have to go to the dentist, it's what you said around the longer appointment, like the accommodations that have to be made to support them appropriately. That's the issue and that's the gap. So it's not that they can't just go to the dentist, it's that a lot of places aren't able to financially support them or make accommodations because it doesn't add up.
Absolutely. And I had a participant that he hated going to the dentist. So when he'd go to the dentist, he'd have extreme behaviours of concern. So then that places other clients that are in that clinic setting at risk. Plus, then you've got to think when you go into a dentist's chair, you've got all of these different tools around you. You're placing everybody in that room at risk as well. So it's things like that as well. We have to look at it from, a bigger picture rather than just saying, yeah, they need to fund it. And, that's because it's quality of life and the participant's choice and control and all that sort of stuff. It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
And so I think that, yes, the NDIS need to fund it, but I think also health needs to come to the party as well.
Yeah, 100%. The next one is mainstream groups and activities. So when we
Mm.
say that, we mean if, you know, Jimmy wants to go to a karate class that's a mainstream class,
Mm.
should that be funded, his membership be funded by the NDIS, or should his parents pay for that?
Mm. It's a good one. So I think that it should be funded, but I think it should only be funded if they have a goal in there to do with being social. And if there is someone involved that is working towards that goal and has the proof that they're working towards that goal. So I feel really strongly about this because a lot of, I would say, like majority of the young boys that I work with that are teenagers that have ADHD and autism often have a PDA profile. On top of that, they're teenage boys. They don't want to stick out. They don't want to be different to their peers. They just want to mix in, right? Nobody, as a teenager, nobody wants to stick out like a sore thumb and show that they have all these accommodations, okay? Now, these young boys struggle with their diagnoses and the way that's perceived out onto the world, okay? And because they have that internal struggle, if you put them in a group environment with other kids that probably have higher needs than them, they're not going to like that, and they're going to project their own insecurities onto those other kids. And that might look like violence, that might look like verbal aggression, that could look like lots of different things, refusal to engage in that group, all sorts of things, right? So for the therapists that are then working with those kids and are working towards a social goal, it's really important that they work towards that social goal in the home or the school environment, but they're also generalizing that goal into the community somehow. And this is where us as therapists would say, I think it's time for little Johnny to, go into a social group of some kind. Let's have a look at his interests and let's put him in that. Okay. But if little Johnny only has this very specific group that he can attend, and that's not the right fit for him, well, how is that choice and control? Little Johnny might do really well in a mainstream rugby league team. He will need guidance. He probably will need a support worker there to help him, coach him, implement those things that maybe the therapists have been working towards and all that sort of thing. But that might be a better fit for him, and he might actually be open to socializing with those kids more than if he was to go to this group over here with a mixture of different disabilities. So what I find is because there's no in the middle, the kids with autism, ADHD, that PDA profile that do have capacity are missing out on social groups. Yes, and I think that that's why the NDIS should fund it. Because I think it comes down to choice and control. And I think that you're going to disagree with me on this. I can say it. But I think that it comes down to choice and control, and I do believe that the NDIS should fund it.
I both agree and disagree
Right.
with you. So I think that if we're talking kids, if a kid wants to go into a mainstream group and it's been recommended by the therapist and stuff, but it's a mainstream group, it's the parents' responsibility to pay for the registration and to pay for all of that for them to attend the group. I then think that the NDIS should then go, okay, they're going to a mainstream group, they are able to have a support worker go with them, which we'll pay for, to attend that group. Where this becomes a bit tricky is groups typically are ratioed. If you go to if you have a ratioed funding package for groups, that means you have to go to a disability specific group, really, at the end of the day, because it's 1 to 2 participants, for example. So I don't agree that the NDIS should be paying for registration and for people to attend mainstream groups, but I do agree that if they decide to go to a mainstream group and they need that support, the NDIS then funds them a one-to-one support worker to help them with that transition.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same as if an adult, one of their goals was to go to a gym and they wanted to go to a gym membership, like they wanted to join a gym membership. I think it's on them to pay for that gym membership, but the NDIS should give them a support worker to help them integrate into that environment.
Yeah, and I agree with that to a point. I think with the gym membership analogy is a little bit different. I think that probably then stops being a bit of an NDIS goal. It becomes a bit of a personal goal, I would say, or like a health goal.
I mean,
maybe.
that's part of it though, is a lot of people have in their goals to maintain their physical well-being and, mobility and health.
Sure, but I think that there's
technically
other
goal.
ways that they could do that without getting a gym membership as well. Like, I think you could go for a walk. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Like, I think with social skills specifically, you need to have that opportunity to develop and generalize those skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that the NDIS's responsibility in that situation is providing a support worker to help mentor and transition into that environment. But it's up to the parents or the individual to pay for the costs associated with the group, just like every other kid in that group.
Okay.
So we don't agree on that one.
We do not agree on that one.
Do not agree on that one.
No. I'm surprised by that.
Look, and that's the thing, like I work with a lot of the same demographic of participant that you just described. Yeah. And I agree. They shouldn't not have the choice and control.
Yeah.
They should have the choice and control in accessing a mainstream group. And that's where I think that the NDIS comes in. And instead of saying, well, you want to go to groups, we're going to give you a 1-to-3 ratio for a group, for a support worker, which forces them into going into a disability specific group. The choice and control that you're talking about, where is coming in my mind, goes giving them the funding for a one-on-one support worker so that they can go into a mainstream group.
I think that there's just so many layers to that because I think about my participants in general, and I think a lot of them would love to have a support worker come along and just stand in the background, but would not be okay with having a support worker like sitting with them, partaking in the group. And I also think that parents would be extremely hesitant and worried about putting their kids into any sort of group. But if it is funded by the NDIS, it sort of pushes them out of their comfort zone to then say, you should really put little Johnny into this social group. It's going to benefit him. You've got the funding for it. Let's do it. As opposed to,
that's a good point.
You should put little Johnny into the social group. You've got to pay for it. And they go, well, I'm not going to do that because he's not going to like it and it's going to go to shit and I'm not going to pay for that and blah, blah, blah.
And that's a good point. But it's also, by going to a mainstream group, you can't guarantee that those people are able to support someone with a disability. So,
but if it's a specific social goal, your therapist should be working with you to make sure that the actual group itself would be able to accommodate and understand you, and they might do training with that coach or whoever it is that is overrunning that group to get to know little Johnny.
But then my mind goes to well, if they wanted to do NDIS groups, they would already be in that industry. Like they would already be tapping into that. So if they're running a mainstream group, do they have, as the coach, have the capacity or the interest to have the training and, do all of that? Why haven't they already tapped into that?
Maybe there's, how long is a piece of string? It could be a million reasons why they haven't tapped into that though. Maybe they never thought about it. Maybe they've never worked with that demographic.
Maybe, but then if that's the case, they then should navigate and then the NDIS can pay for a group like that.
Oh, so what you're saying is I got to convince them, hey, you're really good at this. You should go and open up an NDIS one.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
So then
keep
I
it
can
going.
refer my participants to that group without
Okay.
having to do any of the hard work. Yeah.
Cool. Next.
The next one is something that everyone knows how we feel about this, but sex therapy.
Give it to them. Pay for it, worth every cent.
100%.
Still one of, if not the best episodes that we've done.
Mhm.
Sex therapy.
100%.
If you're
Go
new,
watch them.
yeah, if you are new to the podcast, you can't watch them because this is the
Go
first time
listen
we've
to
been
them.
on camera. But listen to them because, wow, eye-opening.
Yeah.
Loved it. Will totally change your mind on sex therapy and why it should be funded through the NDIS.
Yeah. So we both agree. You can go and listen to those episodes.
Yeah.
And understand why we both agree, but 100%. Yep. This one's interesting, but it's standard home security and maintenance costs, fencing, gates, and building repairs.
Okay, very broad. Think it probably needs to be narrowed down a little bit more, possibly.
I think when I hear that, and like with all of these things, I think if I go to the NDIS asking them for these things, what are they going to say back to me? What's their reason for not giving it to a participant? And in this instance, it would be, we'll apply for an SDA. That is easier said than done.
Yes.
A lot easier said than done. So I think that this one here is like very broad, but also doesn't really touch on like in what situations this might. I think it comes down to the individual situation. And when we were discussing these before, you mentioned, what happens when you've got a kiddo with behaviors or a person with behaviors and they're punching holes in the walls left, right, and center. Like, is it their carers and their parents' responsibility to fix it? Or because it's part of their disability, is it disability-related support? And if that's the case, why can't they then access it? Same as fencing. Like, if you have a participant that has one of their behaviors of concern is absconding, and they need a more secure fence around their property, is this something that they should be paying for? Or is this something that's disability related?
I think it's a fine line,
It's
isn't it?
a very fine line.
Because this is something that I could see participants jumping on this bandwagon and really going to town with it. So I sort of understand why it's on the no list. But then you're right. I have been to enough homes now where I've seen holes in the wall, and parents completely stressed out because they're in a situation where they can't necessarily fix those holes. So from that aspect, I'm like, I would have loved to have seen. Actually, I had a participant that got told by an OT that those holes in the walls could all be fixed by the NDIS. Not sure where they got that information from, but anyway. But I think for that, like, it would be great for those specific circumstances. But I'm just thinking that that's because my participants, and I love my participants, and I would want everything for them. But at the same time, I think, well, I could see people just wanting like a wall removed, and so just punching it and being like, oh yeah, I had a behavior and now I need this all fixed. Can you just get rid of the whole wall for me?
Yeah, there's a fine line with that one. I don't know where I sit with that one.
Fences as well. Like, I could see them going, oh, but they abscond, when maybe the participant doesn't really abscond, but
they just
saying that to try and get a new fence, maybe. Yeah, I think that it would just be too hard to determine.
And I think that it's one of those things where it should potentially still be available, but it's obviously that whole thing around getting the evidence to support why you need it. Yeah. It's just interesting that it's a straight up no. Like, it's on the no list.
Yeah, it's like, what happened? Like, why is it on the no list? Like, how many people?
Yeah.
It's like psychics being on the no list. Like, that's a no-brainer to me. But how many people?
Or goat therapy? That was on the no list.
How many people are accessing this stuff? Like, How many people were accessing psychics?
Who knows? Who knows? I've never heard of it. The next one
Can you
is
imagine, like, the things? Anyway, my mind just went completely with the psychic one. Yeah.
electricity generators. This one I found very interesting.
Yeah, I
And
said no to this, and then
yeah,
you came up with a really good reason of why it should
yeah.
be. Yeah.
So I said if it was to be funded, it would be as like a one-off purchase or expense.
Yeah.
And it would be for participants that are dependent on equipment. So whether that's a vent or whether it's a hoist or anything like that. Because if there's a blackout or if something happens, they're dependent on it. It's disability related. So they should then have access to a generator. And I know that there's things that you can do with power companies and whatever, and you can flag
Yeah.
people on the list,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that you're not going to even go 20 minutes without electricity. If you're on a vent, like you need electricity to be able to survive. And I know that some medical equipment has like the backup stuff, but it would just be that extra security that people kind of need
Yeah.
to have that electricity generator. So I don't agree with this one. Like I think that
I
it should be
agree.
funded.
I think that it should be funded, but under very specific
Yeah,
circumstances.
100%. But this is the thing is that like
The no list is the no.
it's the no list. It's not like a don't see it often list. It's
Yeah.
a no.
Yeah.
The next one, which I don't know how I feel about it, genuinely, it's dating or relationship services, including virtual reality, matchmakers, or apps.
Okay. I don't agree with the apps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with the apps because any Tom, Dick, and Harry is on an app
Yeah.
for dating. But I do think that people with disabilities are at a disadvantage dating wise
Mm-hmm.
in terms of there's not a lot of opportunity for them to date. I mean, there's a reason why Love on the Spectrum is such a massive show now that's gone international and all that sort of stuff. It's because, you know, this population of people have been left out of the dating scene for so long. People are just waking up to the fact that, oh my gosh, they want relationships and
Yeah.
they want all this stuff. So it's a little bit like with sex therapy. I think that it should be funded because it's sort of the opportunities for them to date and to find people with other disabilities and what have you, it's harder. So I think that there should be things for them, but there's not. I mean, there's, you know, we've got dating with disability nights and all that sort of thing, which is great, but it's not something that's funded under the NDIS. And like tickets to that could be funded under the NDIS or something.
Yeah, because they have to pay for their ticket, but the NDIS would pay for a support worker if they have the funding to go with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I think that I'm curious as to what they had in mind when they put this on there, because again, like we have stuff like dating with a disability where a lot of people miss out because they can't afford the tickets. But also, do they mean those types of things, or do they mean, you know, because there's also counselors that do relationship and
Yes.
dating
Yes.
services. There's groups that, you know, do social groups around it. Like they they were specific in terms of the virtual reality matchmakers and apps, which, you know, is one thing. But the fact that they wrote like dating or relationship services, that's way too broad to just put it on a no.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like that's where I'm kind of getting a bit like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's kind of, yeah. Yeah, I feel like they're significantly disadvantaged for not having access to things like that. But virtual reality, I'm like, how does that really work?
Yeah.
And well, you know, when my mind goes to Dr. Esther Perel when
Yeah.
she got a client that had the AI that was in a
Astrid?
relationship with AI, Astrid.
Yeah.
And that was really strange. And she even was saying that it was so strange and
It was a very interesting.
but it's like this whole new
Conversation.
world, right? Where people probably are going to be having relationships with AI and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
100%.
friend of ours likes to talk to AI to talk about his projects and get reinforced. So who knows where it's going?
Well, on like technology and stuff, gaming therapy.
Yeah. Only because I think that should be funded, but I'm really open to like different therapies.
Mm.
And gaming,
Yeah.
I think that like the teenage boys that I work with are so fixated on gaming.
Yeah.
So often I have to incorporate my sessions in with gaming to get any sort of cooperation. So I think if there is specific games that they can play that are specifically designed for emotion regulation, whatever that might look like, I'm all for it. Learning is learning to me if that's how you're going to get through. And I am really strongly about incorporating interests. That's the best way to get the best outcomes. So I don't have a problem with it.
100%. I still think that if it's a therapy, it needs to be run by someone that's qualified. It can't
Yes.
just be a support worker who decides to get a bunch of kids in a room playing games
No.
and then claim it as a therapy. It needs to be,
And it needs to be evidence-based.
Yeah,
There needs to be
100%.
structure. It needs to be, like I said, like a
Yeah.
specific game or something. It can't be like, oh, we're playing Fortnite and every time you get killed, we're going to breathe. No, it needs to be like very structured and have a specific goal.
100%. I agree with that one. This one I found interesting because I had an issue with this a couple of months ago actually, but it's health transport services. So, the patient transport
Yeah.
type thing, that is actually very hard to get for people when it's not set up through health. And a lot of the time, so me as an NDIS support coordinator, I can't request a patient transport for someone. It has to go
Can you
through
give me
health.
an example of what you mean by like patient transport?
So there's like patient transport, they're vehicles that look like ambulances.
Yeah, I've
but they're not.
seen those
And
and that, yeah.
They can be organized to transport someone like to and from hospitals,
Sure.
home from hospital,
Yeah.
to aged care facilities, whatever it might be. So it's like basically an ambulance that's not an ambulance.
Mhm.
And a lot of the time it's for people who need to be transported in a stretcher or a wheelchair and can't fit into a normal vehicle. And I found out that as an NDIS support coordinator, I can't organise that for any of my participants. It really goes through health, which makes sense. It's a health service.
Yeah.
But I had a situation recently where one of my participants that I was working with was palliative,
Mhm.
and all he wanted to do was drive, do what's the big road called?
The bridge, Seacliff Bridge.
Yeah, he just wanted to drive along Seacliff Bridge because he's never done it in his life. He was bedbound and in a stretcher, and I attempted to get patient transport for him to do that, but because it wasn't to take him home or to take him,
Yeah.
because it was outside the normal guidelines,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
wouldn't do
They
it.
wouldn't do it. Yeah. Sure.
I also couldn't find any NDIS providers who had a vehicle like that
Yeah. Right.
to do that with him. And the reason I got from the social worker at the hospital as to why the patient transport couldn't do it was because of the funding
Yes.
kind of
They
issues.
are severely underfunded.
Yeah, which I can understand. But I then said to her, obviously this is on the no list, but he's palliative. If the NDIS were open to funding it, would this be something that we could have organised? And she said potentially. So again, it's that whole health and NDIS type of thing. But it's as simple as just transport, accessible transport for someone, because it wasn't just that he could have gone into a vehicle, NDIS provider vehicle that fit him. He needed to be in a secure place because he was palliative. There was a health aspect to it.
Mm.
So if I could have just tapped into that health support through his NDIS, we could have had his dying wish come true. So it's
Yeah, but I think that's a really unique
But
situation.
that's what I'm saying is like, this is why I put it in there, is because that's a very specific situation
Yeah.
that kind of happened. But I feel like you'd be surprised at how often it might come up, to be
Okay.
honest. Like, and I think it doesn't really, you don't think about it unless you work with a lot of palliative patients or a lot of
Mm.
patients that have health issues that are because of the NDIS. Well, they have, and they're on the NDIS, which a lot of participants that we work with do. So it's something that we come up with quite often, actually.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never really, like, I've never come across it. But for me, when I think about patient transport, I do think that it's a health thing. I think it's very far removed from NDIS, just like an ambulance would be. So for me, I don't think that they should fund it. It's sad that your participant, don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh. You're looking at me like, yeah, okay, bitch. You didn't care about
Do you want
his
his dying wish to be fulfilled?
No, I think that it's really sad that your participant didn't get to do that. But like I said, I think that it's a very specific case. And so I think overall, it probably shouldn't be funded through the NDIS.
But again, that's the thing. It's on the no list. So it's a hardcore no.
Yeah, it's a hard corner.
Like,
yeah.
you don't even have the opportunity to plead your case,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The next one that I know you are going to have a lot to say
Oh
about.
no, what is that?
Parenting programs.
Yes, fund it. Everywhere should fund a parenting program. And I know the Thriving Kids program is looking at having parenting programs. I think that's great. I'm confused by the parenting programs though on that, because they used to fund parenting programs. There was specific ones that they would fund with NDIS funding. And I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, I wonder if they are still funding that or not, because it doesn't sound like it.
Not really.
Yeah.
And it's even hard, even if you find like a disability specific one, places like the NDIS won't really give people funding initially, like to be able to fund these things. Like, so if you went into a plan review and you said, you know, Johnny's parents need a parenting program specifically for ASD, they're not going to give 20 hours of funding to cover that. Like, I've never had that before.
Yeah.
And I think in this instance, they're very much trying to push back on DCJ. But not every parent that needs a parenting program has child protection issues in their home either.
No, but I think that there's different avenues that you could go down. And I think that each area has their own things that you could potentially tap into and access. And I know for you and I, we normally tap into those other resources, right? When we know that there's these other fantastic resources, they are for free. The government is offering them. Let's take advantage of that and, go down those roads with potentially those families. I think it's really looking at other things that you could do. So, yes, tapping into those resources and, seeing what is out there for families in terms of parenting programs. And maybe that's why the NDIS has said we're not going to fund it, is because the government does have stuff out there already that is for free for
I think
parents
that's
to access.
also the issue, is like that a lot of those programs are underfunded already. A lot of those programs don't have the capacity to take people on.
A lot of those programs are for neurotypical children.
Yeah. So it's, when does it become disability specific parenting programs, and how is that going to be funded?
Yeah. I recently did a parenting program with a participant. Oh, I can't remember who it was through. It was for free. But she has difficulty with comprehending some of that sort of stuff. So we went through it together, but it wasn't the best. And I thought that it could have been broken down a little bit more. It sort of seemed to glaze over certain specific topics. And I think it's hard because some parenting programs really need to be individualized to the family as well and their specific situation. So that's where therapists and stuff sort of come in and can do a bit of education there, which is great. But I'm all for parenting programs. I
100%.
think the more information that, like, genuinely good information that a parent can go to rather than having to go to Google, TikTok, Instagram is going to be 100 times better for them.
And I think that the difference here is, programs and training for parents about a participant is one thing, but this is like parenting programs. And like I think that there's a gap in the like you said, parenting a kid, neurotypical kid, and parenting a kid with a disability, very different. So it's kind of like, where does that kind of go and where does that sit?
And like I said, there's so many different issues within that parenting of kids with additional needs. There's so many different layers there. Like, what they cover in one might not necessarily be what the family needs. So I would just encourage parents to talk to the therapists about it and try and get some education there. But I think parenting programs, I don't know, I think it should be funded.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But I also think the government should just be making a shit ton of them.
Yeah, that's the
for
other thing.
kids with lots of different disabilities, lots of different needs,
but just in
cultural
general,
backgrounds.
just parenting in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parenting in this day and age, parenting's hard.
Parenting with AI.
Parenting with AI, that's a huge
Parenting with
one.
technology. Parenting through COVID or after COVID. So many things.
The things parents need to think about today is just crazy. So yes, and parents are crying out for the help. And unfortunately, they're going to places like social media where you get some stupid information.
Yeah.
Makes me want to tear my hair out sometimes. But at least if we had something evidence-based that parents could tap into, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of the list.
Oh, is that the end of the list?
Yeah. There was a lot more that I think we could talk about for hours and hours, but I've just pinpointed the ones that were really interesting.
Yeah.
And like, as we all know, the no list is miles long. So there's lots of other things that we could have talked about. But yeah, that was it.
We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.